Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks. Very nicely done on the intro as always. Thank you. Yes, very good. Thank you for listening as always. Coming to you from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, episode number 43. Those on the Spanish dial. 40 y tres. How do we do today? All right, on the Spanish.
40 y tres. Sí.
Well, you say it with a little more enthusiasm than I do.
You gotta accentuate.
Yeah, I
do. You gotta roll the R.
I gotta roll the R. And we're gonna get to it in a minute as we hear this awesome third voice here in the studio today. So we'll get to Tom in a minute. If you're out there listening and you're like, wow, that doesn't sound like Dougie Sticks. It doesn't, because we have a special guest today. We're gonna get to that
in studio.
And at any time, you can send us your questions at mypbshow@gmail.com. I will say it again, as I'm sure it's going to come across the screen. There it goes. mypbshow@gmail.com. Please fire away your questions. And you can always listen to us on a multiple platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. So if you want to get out there and find us, you can find us.
Definitely.
You have no excuse.
There's no excuse.
There's none.
You can find us everywhere.
Yes. No, we are always available. So we have a really good show here today. We have kind of an announcement to start off with a special guest. And then for us, it's like kind of a joyous day in the show as the NFL is back, right? We had a great run last year doing weekly picks. We ended up with a winning record. So we were joking here in studio before about gambling. If you follow our advice last year, you would have had that new $2,000 camera you were joking about, sir, over there. And if you follow us this year and we have the same success, which we're going to try and do, you'll have be very happy with us like a lot of people were last year. So we will have our week one picks on the show later today. But we're going to start with an announcement here. We've talked about the last couple of weeks on the show, although the last week was my fault. We didn't air an episode. I got tied up.
It's always your fault.
I will take the blame.
I'm joking.
As we all know, as I say,
I go into depression if you don't come in.
I know. I am your Prozac. We were joking before. I am your Prozac.
Doug was here.
Yes, I was here waiting.
Yeah. He was crying under the table. He was crying. But we rescued him today, and he's happier because today we're here. And we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of success with the Small Business Spotlight series over the summer. Had a lot of companies that wanted to come on, and they were great. But we've talked about introducing a sponsorship aspect to the show, and we're really excited to welcome to the show Tom Rahelski with Sonnet Financial. So hello, Tom.
Hello. Yes. Yeah.
So now people can associate that voice they heard there.
Yes.
So
I'm Tom Rahelski. Yep.
That is Tom.
Sonnet Financial Technologies.
Very cool. And we're going to talk about the business in a minute. So we welcome Tom, and we welcome Tom in studio. And we were joking before that because of COVID in the last year, we don't have a lot of in-studio guests. We do things virtually where they come on the screen. So it's actually really nice to look across and actually see a guest in studio. Mm-hmm. So that is really cool. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the business?
So I've been in financial services 15 years. I started as a stockbroker and then went over to Fidelity Investments, where I got my MBA in finance from Rutgers University. And then I went over to, I started UBS Payne Weber. And then I went over to Fidelity Investments. In the last couple of years, I was at PNC Wealth Management in Bridgewater. And I've worked with clients of all different sizes, from the emerging affluent when I was at UBS to when I was at PNC, which is strictly ultra high net worth individuals. And, unfortunately, my position was eliminated from PNC. But luckily, I also started a small side hustle, which Doug, you know about.
Absolutely.
Yep. Ghost Talk Brewing Company.
Well, you have been on the show.
And I've been on the show.
You have been here. We've talked about Ghost Talk.
Yeah. So I'm also the owner of Ghost Talk. So I was in a very fortunate position where I did lose my main job, but now my side hustle became my main job. So, and that's why I always tell people, you always need some sort of side hustle, right? If you're just focusing on making corporate America rich, you're not making yourself wealthy in the long run, at least.
Very true.
So luckily I had that to fall back on. And so I do work basically on the brewery full time now. But I had all these licenses, I have my MBA in finance. I'm also a certified financial planner, a CFP, which is an incredibly hard designation to get. and all these other licenses and whatnot. So I didn't want them to expire, right? So I was like, why don't I create my own independent financial services firm? And the great thing about being my own boss is I can do whatever I want. I don't have any commission goals, new customer goals. Like, when you're at a regular financial services firm, I can build my practice at my own pace. And most importantly, I can take whatever clients I want. Sometimes you have to, you get an annoying client and, you take them on board because you got to hit your goal. Now I can simply, if I gel with the client, fine, I'll put them on board. If it's not a good fit, I'll say, maybe try, Prudential or Merrill Lynch. Maybe they'd be a better fit for you.
Don't be so nice. You fire them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the nice thing about being, my own business owner. And so my main goal with Sonnet Financial is to create a low cost solution for small business owners. And if you think it's a good fit, great, we'll work together. If not, I'm not going to be offended. I have another financial stream from my other business. But I wanted to create a very efficient financial services firm. So I partnered with Betterment and use all algorithmic trading. So in other words, they take all the emotion out of investing. You're not, and also most importantly, you're not paying an expensive fund manager. When you're investing in Fidelity and Merrill Lynch, there's, they joke around the middleman, but in financial services, there's hundreds of middlemen. And essentially, I cut all those middlemen out. And it's an algorithm. It trades. There's certain triggers that happen in the stock market, automatically execute certain trades. If it doesn't hit the trigger, it stays allocated in a certain way. So of course, most importantly, that's going to be very cost efficient for my customers.
So Sonnet was founded what year? How long ago did you found it?
Actually, just this year. So it's a new, very, very new company.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we've actually talked in some of the small business series, spotlight series we did, that Corona has really spurned a lot of new businesses. We've seen a lot of growth, which is good. So what is your thought? And I know this is probably the question you get asked because you do this for a living all the time and you probably hate this question, but the outlook of the market in general, right? Going forward, we've seen before Corona, if I remember, it was really good. Then it kind of went down. It was back up. Now it's kind of stagnant again. What do you think long-term is if you're an investor?
Yeah, well, one thing you have to know about the stock market is that it's always the future returns discounted into today's dollar. So real investors never look at what's happening right now, right? So even sometimes when you're in the middle of like a depression or even before you get out of a true recession, you see the stock market increasing. That's because investors are looking at what's the future return. They're never worried about what's happening right now. What are the current economic indicators? What are the future indicators? Because of that, you tend to have kind of rose-colored glasses and you have more of a positive outlook. But, you have to look at what is the future potential, right? And you do see a lot of growth in certain industries, right? And that's why you have to kind of focus on, constantly reallocating and reviewing your portfolio. You can't just invest in one thing and just hope it's going to do well forever.
Diversify, right?
Diversify.
Isn't there a saying like buy the hype, sell the news or something?
Buy the hype, sell the news. Exactly, Doug. Yeah. So
look at you.
Yeah. Just dishing out financial advice. I love it.
Doug has in his back pocket a CFP license too. He just doesn't like to talk to people.
If the C counts for crypto, then yes. Because I'm cashing on that crypto, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So what advice? So small businesses can come to you, right?
Absolutely.
And you help them as a business or employees within that small business, I'm assuming.
So I can do both,
Okay.
right? So first off, we also offer low cost 401k plans. So our 401k plan, it only costs $1,000 to set up, right?
Which is very affordable, I will say, because I have been through this as a small business owner myself and setting up a 401k.
Yeah.
That is very affordable.
Exactly.
Yes.
And unfortunately, in the 401k industry, because I worked at Fidelity, largest 401k provider in the world, it's almost like a catch-22. Fidelity, once you set up a Fidelity 401k, it is cost efficient for its level, but the problem is the level is at least $1 million. So when you're a small business owner, you're like, all right, cool, I want to set up a 401k for my employees. I want to create something for myself to save money. You go to Fidelity and you're like, well, no, we won't take you unless you have $1 million. But how are you going to get to $1 million if you never set up the 401k plan, right?
You need a road to get to the destination.
Exactly. Yeah. So most companies, unfortunately, go with an insurance company. They'll take anybody. And those plans are usually very expensive to set up. Fees are ridiculous with those insurance companies. But usually companies will start with an insurance company, build up to $1 million, and then go to like a true 401k provider. But with me, you can start with, $1 is basically my minimum to set up a 401k plan.
So we've talked on the show a lot that I have a full-time job. I'm a small business owner, but I can see really right off the dot how that would be helpful. That you kind of have a niche market, and you're definitely hitting a need in the small business world, because when you are a small business, you don't have the resources that a lot of larger companies would have to start with a Prudential and Fidelity and all that stuff. Yeah. So you kind of bridge the gap, if you will, and find them a way, which is good. So one of the things, and we're excited about this here, as you join us as a sponsor, is you're going to be doing financial tips of the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I think this
you're going to talk about the sports betting tip of the week, and I'll talk about if you win big with Jeff, then make sure to invest that money with you don't have to invest with me, but just invest with Sonnet, preferably Sonnet. But so I'll give you a little investing tip.
Yes, and you know what? In a few weeks, when we see how we're off to a start on this season, we may make you go above us in the show if we're not off to a good start. So, do you have a tip you want to do this week while you're in studio?
Yeah. Okay, I wanted to talk about infinite banking.
Sure.
Infinite banking concept. So it's been a big buzzword lately, especially the last couple of weeks since Dave Ramsey, who's a big financial guru on YouTube, talked about it. But this concept has been around actually since about 2009, because I remember researching it when I was at Fidelity. But I don't want to call it a scam. But let's call it like a financial scheme or a concept, right? And basically, an insurance agent will tell you, hey, instead of investing your money with the bank, why don't you become your own bank?
I've heard this.
You've heard this.
Tell me more.
Tell you more. Yes. All right, good. Yeah. So basically, when you have money, you have 4 things you can do with it, right? You can save it, right? Fortunately, a lot of people don't do that. You can invest it, right? You can spend it, or you can give it away, right? In Brian's case, give it away to the sports betting companies, right? No, but I mean, give it away to like charity for tax purposes. So the insurance agent will tell you, why not create your own private bank? Why don't you be your own bank, right? The benefits are you can create a dividend for yourself, right? You'll have guaranteed growth of your assets. You have privacy, right? That's of course a big popular thing about Bitcoin and all that is privacy, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all these insurance that jump on that privacy bandwagon. You'll have control of your money, right? Not that you don't have control of your money when it's in a checking account, but that's another story, right? They're going to also talk about tax-free growth. And they also mention no market volatility, right? And of course, the big thing is a death benefits, right? And then why not create a revenue stream for yourself instead of having money sit at the bank, right? So the way the infinite banking concept works is you'd front load or aggressively pay up a whole life insurance policy. And so, and then you put in about $15,000. I'm just making an example. You put in $5,000 a year. So after 3 years, you then take a loan against your insurance policy. And now you have money that you can then invest elsewhere.
Okay.
Right. Which I guess sounds like kind of a good deal. You can take that money and then invest in real estate. You can invest in Bitcoin, whatever you want. Right.
These are all pros.
These are all pros. Right. Yeah, exactly. But of course, the insurance agent is kind of not mentioning all the cons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So of course, one con is that, and I mean con like, a negative, not con like scam. One negative is, of course, you actually are not borrowing against 100% of your account value. So I mentioned that previous example, you put in $15,000, you can only take out about $12,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those situations. Well, if you're putting in 15 and you're taking out 12, well, where's you have to make a lot of growth in order to just make up that gap.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, those are the fees, right? And then another thing they forget to mention is, of course, the interest that you're paying on that loan, right? So you have to get a certain rate of return on that policy loan. Otherwise, the policy might default, right? And then if it defaults, you actually end up losing even more money, right? Forget about that $12,000. You actually end up getting maybe $10,000 in cash value, right?
Real quick. So you put in 15, you get 12 to play with.
Yeah.
Yes. So like, are you getting interest on the 12?
No, you're paying interest on the 12.
So you're paying interest on the 12.
You're paying interest on the 12.
I mean, what about the 15? I mean,
the 15. So what
the
they'll
15.
do.
That's what I mean.
All
Sorry.
right, so
let
on
me
the
read.
15, yeah.
You
So
put the 15 in. What's happening to the 15?
Okay. So that's a good question. So there are actually two types of insurance companies, right? There are publicly traded insurance companies like your Prudentials, and your big ones like AIGs and all that. But then there are a lot of smaller called mutual insurance companies. So these mutual companies like USAA, for example, I'm a military veteran, so every
Thank
year.
you for your service.
Oh yeah, thanks for that, Jeff. So every year I get a little dividend check from USAA for whatever accounts I have with them, and that's just extra money that they've made, on fees and things like that. So what these insurance agents will do, they'll focus on only putting your money into a mutual insurance company. So they'll say, oh, don't worry, on that 15,000, you're going to get a dividend on that. So the idea is that hopefully that dividend will cover the interest that you're paying, right? But if you're maxing out, if you're taking out like, $2,000, you're getting, 4% on the 15, and hopefully that'll cover it. But if you're maxing it out, like in the previous, you're taking out 12, you're definitely paying more in interest than you are in dividends. Yeah, but that's a
so maybe
very
take
keen
out
observation.
10. So maybe take 10 out.
Maybe take 10 out. Yeah, maybe take 10 out. Yeah. So
Interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But so what they're going to say is that you're like a bank, but you're not really like a bank, right? Because a bank pools people's money together and they lend it out to other people, right? The bank is the one collecting interest. Here, you're actually paying the bank interest, so it's not quite exactly the same, right? But there've been actually very famous historical examples of people who have used infinite banking to help fund their businesses, right? One great example is actually Walt Disney.
Interesting.
Yeah, he didn't have enough money.
I would say he did a good job.
Yeah, he did.
So what was his plan?
Yeah, so it was a good plan. Yeah, so he didn't have money to open up Disneyland in California, but he had all this money from Disney Pictures and all that, and he had his own whole life policy that he took a loan out against, right? If you ever heard of Pampered Chef?
Yes.
Pampered Chef was actually started with a $3,000 whole life insurance policy loan that the person took out, and then eventually sold the company for something like $900 million to Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway. So that's pretty crazy. And
pretty good ROI.
Yeah, pretty good ROI. Yeah.
Can you ever take the money out without penalty?
What
The 15 that you put in, you take 10, you do something, you hit it big, you pay off the 10. Can you take the 15 back out?
There's what's called a surrender value. So that 15 is never quite 100% there. So if you cash it out, there may be a penalty on the 15, but essentially sometimes, and remember, the fees are taken out of that 15. So you never could really get that whole 15 out.
Now, can you add to it like a bank account?
Yeah, that's what some people do. Sometimes people use it as an extra savings account, right? But then the question comes to, that's why you need to sit down with a financial advisor to decide, all right, well, does it make sense to throw in 5,000 into a whole life policy? Or does it make sense to maybe do a term life insurance for $1,000 and take that 4,000 and put it into a Roth IRA or put it into an investment account, right? So there's pros and cons for doing both.
And you never get the full amount if you take it out.
No, unfortunately not, because the insurance company is a for-profit business,
Gotcha.
So they need to make a little bit of money too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every way they can.
Very cool.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
we will be having, as going forward, financial tips of the week. So as we talked about, Tom, come in anytime if you want. You can come in virtually through our little virtual waiting room. So that we would have up on the screen here. You can send it in. So it should be good. And I think you have a really cool business idea. Again, I think as a small business owner, I know exactly why it would work. I can see the writing on the walls for the success already.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up, do you want to do this or you don't want to do this?
Infinite banking. Well, again, it depends on your situation, right? If you need immediate access to the funds, then maybe it doesn't make sense to do it, because then why not just keep it in your bank account where it's you get 100% access to it, right? If you have just tons of money sitting around the bank, earning 0% interest, then, maybe it does make sense to put this in there, because now you have also a death benefit. So that 15,000, we talked about the cash value, maybe it has a insurance value of 20,000 or 25,000. So if you die, Your beneficiaries get a little bit, but of course you want to spend the money. You don't want
Yeah,
to give it away
you're
right
dead.
now.
So to tie it all together, if you had just started a sports gambling account in the last hour here, and you needed the money in your account this week for week 1, it wouldn't be a good thing.
No, it would not be a
But
good idea.
If you
you've
pay
got-
need to pay your bills, it
Yes.
wouldn't be a good idea.
right, but if this is a special extra money and you're sitting in your FanDuel account,
Yeah.
as you decide on Elliott scoring a touchdown tomorrow
You
night,
could put it in and use the interest or the dividend to make your bets.
yes.
There
Look
you
at
go.
that.
You're playing
I
with
mean,
free money.
That's it.
Like I
Playing with
said,
free
he's
money.
a CFP in his spare time. We just don't know. He's a jack of multiple avenues. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for coming in, Tom. We will see you ongoing whenever you want to
Yeah,
come on. You know
absolutely.
where we are. We usually are here on Tuesday mornings. If not, you see Dougie under the table crying. That's your
Yeah.
dead giveaway. And we do thank Sonnet for sponsoring the next couple months here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be very busy around here with football season, so we're going to get a lot of talk. We did it last year at this time.
That's their Instagram.
And the
Yeah,
Instagram is
thank
up on
you.
the screen, correct? Although the camera's blocking it from me, so I can't read it to
Can't
you.
see
Why
it.
don't you read it, Doug? The
Sonnet Fin Tech.
sounds good.
Sounds
Well, thanks for
fantastic.
coming
Yeah.
in, Tom.
Yeah,
and,
thanks a lot for your time.
anytime you want to come in, stop by. You know where to find us, and
That's
we'll
it.
look. And we will look for your financial tip of the week next week.
Yeah, super
Absolutely.
excited to be on board with you guys. Love the show, and yeah.
And before we let you go, how's Ghost Talk doing? Good.
Oh, actually, I wanted to also do a plug for Ghost
Go
Talk.
ahead. Go ahead.
So tonight at Biagio's, we're doing a joint tap takeover with Hackensack Brewing Company.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Cool.
if you're free tonight, definitely swing by Biagio's.
And that's in Paramus.
Yeah, it's in Paramus. Mike
Mhm.
Jones, owner of Hackensack, and I'll be there giving out, swag and goodies, and of course we'll have
Always
a
a good
lot
time.
of great beer on tap.
Very cool.
Always a good time.
Well, we'll have to do like a live tasting, maybe one of these episodes.
Absolutely.
It's a little early in the morning, but maybe we'll get
No,
some
it's
Ubers
perfect
here.
timing.
Yeah.
It's like a mimosa.
There we go. Well,
That's it.
well, thank you, Tom. We'll let you
Great,
get out of
thanks.
here because I know
I'll
you're
get a
busy.
split from the
Thanks, buddy.
studio.
Thanks
Great,
for
a lot,
coming in.
guys.
And that is Tom Rahelski from Sonnet Financial Technologies. And again, we thank you for joining us and the sponsorship. Very cool, Dougie Sticks, right?
Right?
Very, very
100%.
cool. Yeah, really
Yeah.
some good stuff. And I look
Great.
forward to the financial tips of the week here. I think it'll
Absolutely.
keep things lively and fresh around here
Absolutely.
with your fresh new Wi-Fi that we
the
had installed.
freshest of Wi-Fi.
And we have the freshest of financial tips.
Yes.
So
Just
we
all around freshness.
fresh. So we talk about hockey a lot on the show, but I
Yes.
have to say, and we were joking, B-Rock and I, before we went on, that the hockey news the last 3 weeks has been just completely stagnant. We are in off-season mode to the max, where there is really nothing going on. However, the good news here is that will be changing because the first Ranger preseason game, are you ready, is
Yes.
2.5 weeks away, believe it or not. It is 2 weeks from this coming Sunday.
Is it against the Devils?
The first preseason game this year is against the Islanders. They will play the Devils twice in the preseason, but they will start the Sunday the 26th at Madison Square Garden against the Islanders. So we are very close to getting Hockey Talk back on the show.
When do they play? Do you know when they play the Devils?
They play the Devils
In
in the
October?
preseason. They are at the Rock
Yep.
Friday night, October 1st.
I'm going to that game.
Are we? Are we doing a remote show?
Well, I'm definitely going to the game. You're welcome to come. But I'm getting through the grapevine that part of my bachelor party is the Devils Rangers game at Prudential.
Wow.
Yes.
Look at that.
You're welcome to join. We also
Uh,
have the what is it? The Sweet Access.
Ooh.
I don't even know what that means.
Well, it
I
means
think
you're
it's like
probably
I
eating
get
free
food. Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit. Dougie Sticks is getting married in November. So I think it's really cool now that your bachelor party is tied into hockey.
Yeah. You converted me into a diehard hockey.
That-
You
that-
don't give me much credit. I like hockey, bro.
I never said you did. But that is cool. So hockey will be making its way back on the show. And I will say this, in the next month or so, when you tune in October and we have NFL in full swing and we also have hockey back, we are going to be chock full of stuff, like trying to condense everything in the next month in the next couple months here, because there's going to be a lot going on. So it'll be a lot of fun to be here. But as I said in the beginning of the show,
Yes.
this is a joyous day here at Mind Your Puckin' Business.
Yes.
Because last year, what we did, and we're going to bring it back, and it starts here today,
Yes.
we're going to bring back the weekly picks.
Mm-hmm.
With NFL being back, if you listen to us in the December, when is the time of year where you would have fantasy football Super Bowls, you know that Dougie Sticks and I each separately with our own teams in our own leagues, not affiliated with each other, suffered heartbreaking losses, as is usually the norm for me.
Yes.
So now fantasy football returns as well this week. Now, have you had your draft yet? Oh, here we go. Look at that. Have you had your draft yet?
I'm not in a league.
You're not in any
I'm
league?
not in any league.
Oh, God.
No leagues this year. If anyone has a league and they would like one more player, I'm leagueless.
So I'm not proud of this. We have the league. I talked a lot about it last season that I am extremely invested in. This will be my 20th year, believe it or not. Still have not won. I won't know what it's like to win, so I can't even talk about it because.
And that league is like, college friends? Like,
yeah, it's more high school friends,
Nice.
that league. I've added another league last year or 2 years ago with people in the town that I live in with basically it's one of my two kids' friends' parents of their grade level. Now this weekend, we started a new league of my other child's dads in their grade level, right?
Okay.
And we decided that we were going to do a live draft. That was kind of the goal, right? Because now when you think live draft, everyone's like, well, they're always live drafts. I log onto my computer and it's live on my screen. Yes.
In person.
Right. Let's go back
COVID-free.
Let's go back to like 2005. Live drafts back then, because not everywhere had Wi-Fi, you would get together with your buddies for 9 hours. You'd have a beers or whatever you choose to drink.
Yes.
And you would have this massive poster board and you would put across every single pick. And it took 9 hours. It literally did. However, it was one of the best days of the year.
Absolutely.
You'd order pizzas, you'd hang out with your buddies, and then you would be annoyed at your fantasy team at the end that you wasted 9 hours and your team sucked, right? So we decided this weekend to do a live draft. And what we did, we made some last minute clarifications to the league. But we have a 12-person league, which I'll talk about this league a lot during the course of the season. But we had a 12-person league, 9 of the 12 of us. Now, I thought we were going to get 6 because everyone's scheduled and it's a holiday weekend. We did this on Sunday afternoon. 9 of the 12 of us showed up at a bar. We all brought our computers or laptops or phones, whatever you may be, connect to the Yahoo server. And we're all there doing a live draft in person, but it instead of taking 9 hours, somehow miraculously only took an hour and 10 minutes. So
Interesting.
Yes, that was the way to go.
Did you have fun?
We did have fun. And then we went back. Actually, one of the guys in the league, wife was out of town with the kids for the weekend. So we all kind of hung out at his house after, ordered pizza, watched some college football that was on. It was a good day.
Nice.
It was reminiscent of 2005. Instead of
The
doing
good old days.
Instead of doing drafts like they are now, or like they will be for me tomorrow night on my last league, where like I'm literally laying in bed on my phone doing a draft. It's a lot different. So if you're out there and you're listening and you can bring back the live draft, bring it back.
No, absolutely, I agree.
Go to a bar.
And also, I want to, Yahoo. I'm assuming you're using Yahoo. Everyone uses Yahoo, right? If I'm on my computer and my phone, don't kick me off. You ever get kicked off?
Yeah. Well, that's
you're like trying to do research your picks. You like log in by accident and you kicked off on the phone and you got 2 seconds left to make your pick and you make the wrong pick.
Now I screwed up. Now one thing, and this is 110% on me this weekend during the live draft. I didn't realize, I think this was round 8 or 9. I didn't realize I was up on the clock on my screen because you're talking to people. And I realized that with like 9 seconds left on the clock, someone said, oh, Jeff, you're up. And I went to make the pick and I drafted a defense way too early.
Ooh.
But at least they gave me the defense I would have taken later on. But you got to make sure you pay attention. So kudos to that. Fantasy, we have that going forward. And hopefully we'll have our main man, Jeff Sheesby, on the show going forward as well. So let's do this week 1. Are you ready to get this started?
Hell yeah. Wait. So what time out? The NFL starts this Sunday.
Yes, it starts Thursday night with a kickoff game. Yes, you're 2
So
days.
we're about to make the first picks.
Yes, here we go. Yes. Week 1. Let's go. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the format the exact same as we did last year.
Yes.
We pick 5 games a week with the spread.
Yes.
We're not making this easy and just telling you who's going to win a game. We're doing spreads. We're making this hard. Same thing as last year.
Same thing as last year.
We pick 5 games.
Yep.
And every week should really be either a winning or losing week, right? Because either you're going to have 3 wins and 2 losses or 4-1 or 5-0, right?
Yes.
Last year, we got off to a ferocious, roaring start,
Yes.
right? We started out 3-0. We were red hot.
Killing it.
We leveled off, but we ended up in the 17-week season. We had 10 winning weeks and 7 losing weeks. So much so that if you follow us on our Instagram page,
Yes.
Mind Your Pucking Business, you will notice we have a lot of people that follow that are like betting pages.
Yeah.
So I do feel a little pressure, a little tense that we have to get this right, right? But we got this.
We got this.
We did this before. We're going to do it again. We're not expecting to go. Now, remember, the NFL regular season is 18 weeks. We have 18 weeks, not 17.
Yeah, we got an extra week.
We got an extra week to make you
perform.
money. So we are not going to go into this with the mindset, Dougie Sticks.
Yes.
We're going to be 18-0. We're going to have 18 winning weeks and no losing
Well, we
weeks.
know what happened to the Patriots when they tried to go undefeated.
Yes, we do.
They lost.
We do.
Super Bowl.
And there is a Patriot fan sitting in the studio right now, so we're not going to do that.
It's a bad day for him today.
He's been getting knocked a lot today. Poor guy showed up for work today. He's been getting knocked left and
What
right.
is it, like workplace harassment or something?
It is. I tell you, the big wigs at Undefeated Media here may get something, a little letter here in the mail. But we're
I
not
got a
expecting.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
So let's just say you want to play along with us,
Mhm.
and play on DraftKings and make your bets. Like, I'm going to do this, right? Are we putting like the same amount of money on every game? So like
Yes,
$10
yes.
per game?
I am not doing so. Some pools, including one that I am in,
Yes.
weight the game. So would say out of your 5 games, pick the one you're most confident in. That's your best bet.
That's
Do you
your
want
$20 bet.
We could do that. I could say which one every week is, I think, the best bet. Like, I'm looking at the 5 that we're picking for week 1. There's one that I like more than the other 4. We could do a best bet, but I don't want you to weight it more. Right? I
Right.
want you to
So
treat
going
every
into
5
this,
games.
if you're watching, going into
Right.
this, you're making the same, like maybe you're a high roller and you want to put $1,000 per game, but
Do
going
it
into
evenly.
this,
Spread it evenly.
Yeah.
So if you had $1,000 a week to bet along with the Mind Your Pucking Business crew, you would do 200 on each game in the 5 games. I don't want you doing 400 on one. If you really want to know which one I think is the best of the 5, you can message us. We'll let you know.
Okay. Now, last question. There's 5 picks, and we usually do like the hometown games. Are those
Yes.
included in the 5?
We're gonna do
separate?
that
So it'll be
also.
7 picks, but 5 of our favorites,
Right.
and 2 of the hometown.
This week, for example,
Yes.
of the 5 games, one of them is the hometown. The Giants game is in the 5.
Okay.
We're also, just as a bonus, we don't count the hometown. You're
Yes.
right. We did this last year. We're doing it again. Is to pick the hometown game also if they're not
Just
included
for
in the
fun.
5. Just for fun.
So if it's not included in the 5, it does not go against our record.
It doesn't go against the record. Correct.
That's
But we
good
do,
to know.
We
It's
do
good
it for
to know.
fun. The exact same thing we did last year. Got it?
All right.
Are we ready?
Well, future Brian's going to pull out this clip so everyone can get this just alone. But there we go. Here we go.
You're ready. Here we go.
Do you want music?
All right. No, we're good.
All right.
We're good. All right.
I'm
so
excited.
week 1.
Yes.
We're bringing it back. This was fun last fall. And it was
Yes.
but again, it was a lot of fun because we were winning. It's not fun when you're losing. So week 1, let's start
Yes.
here.
I'm going to make my bets.
All right. So week 1 traditionally
Yes.
is known for a week where spreads are higher because people don't know the teams. They think one
Yeah.
team sucks. They think the other team is great.
True.
And then maybe that sucky team doesn't win, but it's a lot closer. So you get some lines that have a lot of points in them,
Mhm.
which is where we're going to go to start.
Let's do it.
All right. So week 1, let's start here in Detroit. Detroit Lions, who are probably going to not be very good, are getting 7.5 points at home versus the San Francisco 49ers.
Is Goff playing?
Is who?
Is Goff hurt?
Goff. Jared Goff is playing.
Okay.
Correct. Now,
New
here's
quarterback.
right.
New system.
I like Detroit at home. Here's why. They have a new coach, Dan Campbell.
Mhm.
Do I think Dan Campbell is going to be a candidate for coach of the year? Absolutely not. I don't. However, he's a fiery guy. He's a madman, and he will have this team pumped up to start his new regime.
Mhm.
He's also getting 7.5 points at home versus the 49ers, who last year really were not great. What was great about the 49ers was their defense and their defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. Where is he now? He's now the head coach of the Jets. He isn't even in San Francisco anymore.
Boom.
I can take a home team at home, getting more than a touchdown with a rookie head coach who's going to have that team fired up to play. And you nailed the other part of it already, Jared Goff's debut game.
You
Give
got a
me
lot to prove. Got a
Give
lot
me
to
the
prove.
Lions getting 7.5 at home. Do I think the Lions will win the game? Probably not. But I've got a touchdown. I've got a touchdown and then half a point to protect myself. That's pick one. The
49ers, all their players back. Tintle, whatever.
most of them are back.
The
Kittle, George Kittle.
Kittle.
Yeah, they're back.
All
They're
right,
back.
Everyone's full strength.
Yep.
All right.
As far
Good
as
to
I
Good to know.
But give me the Lions plus 7.5 in Goff's debut in the Motor City.
Like it.
Pick number 2. This is a really good game, so I'm glad we're including this, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers up at the Buffalo Bills. I saw yesterday, and Liale, who was on our show, this little viral hit sensation from Buffalo that she came on back in the season, the playoffs. I saw yesterday Peter King, respected writer, put out his picks for the year and has the Buffalo Bills winning the Super Bowl for the first time ever.
Wow.
If you're the Buffalo Bills, man, you've got so much pressure on you this year that you're not used to, but you are going to be very good. You've got Josh Allen returning. You've got Stephon Diggs, who was unbelievable last year at wide receiver. You've got really, your whole crew back, right?
Yeah.
The Steelers are getting 6.5. Now, I do think that Big Ben, definitely kind of the second half of the career, but the Steelers getting 6.5 is a lot of points, right? And Mike Tomlin is an experienced coach. He really usually does have his team prepared to play. 6.5 is a lot of points. I'm taking the Steelers. I don't necessarily know that they're going to win the game. I wouldn't be shocked if they upset the Bills either. But 6.5 is a lot. So
yeah, but it's less than a touchdown.
It's less than a touchdown.
So they're going to win. They win by 1 touchdown. We lose.
But I'm taking the Steelers plus 6.5.
Wow.
I'm taking them up.
Who's home?
Up in Buffalo. I'm taking the Steelers on the road. The Steelers also, my logic with this was, and I see somebody shaking their head.
Yeah, I'm shaking it too.
Yeah. My logic here, and I don't like to go against Buffalo. We know that my wife is like a closet Buffalo Bills fan, and she won one of the other pools that we're in last year because she always bet on Buffalo. But my logic here is that the Steelers normally, when they lose, if you look, historically don't get blown out. I mean, they're not a team that gets blown out. I mean, minus the Cleveland game last year, now that I think about it. But I'm taking the Steelers plus 6.5. Now, the next game, I was really excited for when I saw this line. When I looked last week, I was like, what is this?
Okay.
And now the more I've thought about it, I've come back to earth, but I'm still going to take it because I want to go with like the whole first impression. This is what you think. And that is the Texans getting 3 at home versus Jacksonville. Now, the Texans are also a team. They're not very good. They have a rookie head coach that no one's really seems to be excited about. And their main attraction and best player, Deshaun Watson, had a lot of offseason problems. We won't name that, by the way. By the way, I saw a very funny fantasy football team name.
Yes.
It's always darkest before Deshaun. We'll leave that one there. But so the Texans are not going to be good. But the Texans here are home, and they're getting 3. Why is Jacksonville? What have they done to deserve the right to be a favorite on the road? They've got Trevor Lawrence making his NFL debut.
Exactly.
I'm not sold on it.
Wait, time out. So you're going to say that the backup quarterback for the Texans is going to beat
Trevor
Lawrence debut in Jacksonville,
no,
hyped
it's not,
up.
It's not in Jacksonville.
All
the
right.
Texans are home.
The Texans are home. Big whoop. You take your rule of the points at home.
Yo, look at
seriously.
you remembering.
Yeah, you take that rule a little.
Well, you're not going to like the next
one. Close. 3 points to a team that they don't know who their quarterback is.
They've named their quarterback.
They don't know who their quarterback's going to be.
But let's apply the Detroit rule here that when you have a rookie head coach in their first game, the team comes out to play in their home.
Yeah, rookie head coach.
Okay.
Jacksonville.
I'm taking the Texans plus 3.
What's his name?
Who? Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer with the new sensation.
Look, how many college coaches, Nick Saban-esque, have you seen have an incredible amount of success in the college game?
The one factor I feel like you don't take into account is like the juice factor. What juice does the Texans have? They don't feel juiced. They're like going through hell with the whole trial and the whole off-field
Houston's
antics.
coming out to play. I'm taking Houston plus 3. Now the next one is a hometown game. I'm including one of them, and that is the Giants.
Okay.
I'm taking the Giants plus 3 at home. Here's why. I think in the Giants in the preseason, they didn't look very good. But if you look, they didn't have a lot of their starters playing. Like I told you, I went to the Jets-Giants game with my wife and kids, and I think they had the entire second string defense in the entire game. The Giants didn't play their whole team. Also, is Denver really, again, this is the whole Jacksonville thing. What has Denver done to deserve to be a favorite on the road? Nothing. Okay. Teddy Bridgewater's the quarterback, so they upgraded that position a bit. But I'm not sold on the offense. The running back situation is not great. The wide receiver situation is not overly exciting out there either. And the Giants are home. So I just think the Giants are going to show up here and play well. I think Joe Judge will have them ready to go. I think the fan base will be a good, as most stadiums are now getting fans for the first time in 2 years. I think the fans will be fired up to go, and I'm protected by a field goal. I'm taking the Giants at home versus Denver. Now, the last game I really like. I really like. So if we were doing a best bet, it would be this. But again, we're not going to do that. And that is the Sunday night game, the Bears getting 7.5 at the Rams. The Bears play in the NFC North, right? They are very, very familiar with Matt Stafford. They have played him twice a year, every year for the past 13 years. Who's the quarterback now in LA? Matt Stafford. The running back that, and the name escapes me, of the Rams is out for the season with a torn ACL.
Oh, man.
So the Rams now are going to run their offense through Matt Stafford, and the Bears' defense is pretty good. Now, the Bears are starting Andy Dalton. Do I like that factor? No. But I am getting more than a touchdown with a good defense who is familiar with the opposing quarterback on national TV. I am taking the Bears plus 7.5. So, to recap, week 1 picks. I have the Lions plus 7.5 at home versus the 49ers. The Steelers plus 6.5 up in Buffalo. The Texans plus 3 at home versus the Jaguars. The Giants at home plus 3 versus Denver. And the Bears plus 7.5 at the Rams. You do not seem enthused.
So, I don't want to call it emotional because you never want to pick these picks in emotional, but you always want to see where the juice, there's a little electrifying juice. Matt Stafford has been in Detroit for his whole career, getting beat up. Does he have a good offensive line now with the Rams?
He does. Matt
you don't
Stafford,
think he's coming out juiced up?
He is juiced up, but Matt Stafford, this defense is used to him, and Matt Stafford is also in the second half of his career. I will tell you something, a weird
But he's
story.
tough.
Before my wife and I moved to where we live now, we lived in a condo complex, not far from here, actually, where we do this show. The name of the street I lived on was Stafford Street for 9 years. Okay. You can look it up. You can figure out what town I lived in.
Okay.
I lived on Stafford Street.
Yeah.
And 1 year, this was like 2007, he was my quarterback. I don't think I really wanted to have him. I think he just kind of.
So this is a revenge.
No, he was great for me.
Okay.
But that was also 13 years ago.
Okay.
So I'm taking that. Now, what we
you
have
can say
to
the same thing about Andy Dalton. Andy
Mm.
Dalton was great 13 years ago.
But Andy Dalton is not going against the defense that has played him 20 times in his life.
Okay.
That is the one difference. Andy Dalton was in
He's
Cincinnati.
been on the bench.
He's been on the bench, right? Nobody's played him. Nobody's played him for the last 10 years. You know what, sir? You're not wrong in that. You're not wrong in that assessment. So we were going to do the other hometown game that does not count in our 5 picks, and that is the Jets are getting plus 4.5 in Carolina. For some reason, I don't know why, I'm going to take the Jets. Zach Wilson's debut, the head coach's debut. I'm not really sold on Carolina either.
Who's the quarterback? Carolina now.
Sam Darnold.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Come on. So Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold will be juiced up. Now they do have Christian McCaffrey, who we know from fantasy can just end this game. If you're only getting 4.5, Christian McCaffrey can end that real quick. By himself. But I'm taking the Jets plus 4.5. I don't love it, but we got to pick the hometown game. It's one of the things we do. So I'm taking that. So those are our Mind Your Pucking Business Week 1 NFL picks of the beginning of what will be a long journey. And I will say this, I said this last year too. This whole process of our weekly picks is a marathon, not a sprint.
Obviously, after these picks this week.
Wow, you are not happy.
I'm messing with you. No, just there's a little electric. You got to put some of these picks. You got to put a little electricity in the bottle.
Like, okay, you're not a genie in a bottle. You want electricity in a bottle.
A little electric.
So that will be our Week 1 picks. Now, next week, we will have a guest. Not sure exactly who yet, but we will have someone on the show. And then after that, we really get into NHL training camps opening up, as I mentioned before. So we're going to get right into the Ranger stuff. Look, Jack Eichel, and I was
about to ask. We'll find out where
I mean, Jack Eichel is going to start the season not playing anywhere because he's still injured and he's going to be in Buffalo. So I don't understand it. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, but that's where he's going to be. Now, also, if you're not happy with our picks, which you're not, so
I'm not happy.
I can direct this at you too.
Okay.
You feel free
to
email us, mypbshow.com, or you can DM us on Instagram as people do, and you can send us your complaints or tell us what we did wrong that you would do differently.
How about put your choices and picks in the comments section so we can see it.
You can do that.
Either put it in this episode or do it next episode.
And look, I'll even say this, and let's hope that this doesn't come to fruition.
Knock
Okay.
on wood.
Knock on wood. Let's say we get off to a really bad start here, right? Which you
Okay.
seem to think we're going to.
No. I think we're going to do
You're
just
good.
fine. There's one or two that
you would
know
do
could go either way.
Okay.
We're on the fence.
Let's say we get off to a bad start, and somebody puts in the comment section their picks, and they are doing really well. They've got the hot hand, if you call, as we call it in gambling.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to come on and help us with our picks,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
We're an equal opportunity
Yeah.
employer here.
You put him in the comment section, and if we see that you're on a roll and you're on fire, we'll bring you on the show and you'll help us out with the picks.
100%. We'll help you out,
Absolutely.
and you can help us
You
out.
can
if we
help
need-
us out.
in a time of need, which Dougie Stick seems to think we're heading to.
Don't get me wrong. There's just one or two of them. Like I think Jared Goff and Matt Stafford have a lot to prove.
But I have Jared Goff. He's on the Lions. We have him plus 7.5.
Against who?
The 49ers.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Okay, so we got that one.
Matt Stafford.
So you like, let me get this straight. You like the Lions pick. You don't like the Steelers at Buffalo.
The Buffalo's going to beat the Steelers.
Again, but I'm getting 6.5. You definitely do not like the Texans at Jacksonville. That is the one that you do not like. You definitely
that's on the fence. And if that's what I'm saying, if I'm on the fence, I'm going with the electricity.
Okay. So you don't like that. The Giants one you seem okay with.
Yeah.
And the Bears, Rams, you don't love, but the one that you really don't like, you don't like the Steelers plus 6.5, and you don't like the Texans. So next week, we'll see how you did.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll see how we do.
So we thank
But
Tom.
I'm with you. I'm on the boat with you, bro.
Okay.
At the end of the 18
I'm
weeks,
steering the
we're here
ship.
together.
I'm steering the ship.
I'm your first mate.
I'll see where we take you. Good thing we didn't have ships last week with the hurricane, around here, right? We could have used them. So we thank Tom Rahelski. This show, again, brought to you by Sonnet Financial Technologies. So we thank Tom for coming in, and we thank him for his financial tip of the week. We will have another one for you next week. And on that note, anything else you would like to close on there, sir?
No, great job. Great episode. Super excited to have Sonnet Financial Technologies giving us some tips of the week. He says, thanks for having me on. Live comment on the comment screen right here. And we'll see you guys next week.
And we will go from there. We'll be back with our week 2 picks and some
Super
hockey.
excited.
Well, thanks for tuning in wherever you're listening to us. And we will talk to you next week.